Real grade Gundam GP01Fb full vernier. Hey, what's up again everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs, 2Bs, GundamReviews.net. Here today wrapping up my look at the real grade 1/144th full vernier, full burner, full Burnern GP01Fb. You've already seen the review of the regular guy, but now it's time to see what the FB Core Block 2 is going to be bringing to this blue looking table. It looks great so far. How does it work out together? Pacific Rim 2 had better have more core fighters in their Marks 6, 7, and 8. Because I would never get tired of watching unnecessarily awesome drops down onto a giant mecha body. And when he's all put together, yes, he's going to be a little bit back top heavy, and yet who really cares, because this guy looks like he's absolutely ready to go to battle in space. But actually, I'm really impressed with the lower body there, as just the fullness of the legs, they're definitely going to be totally filled out there to go along with the big beefy extra width there and length that's been added on to the feet. The waist section, again, even though it's not going to have as much gray, is definitely going to pop, but really, as good as the lower body looks, this is what the FB is all about there, and even without the boosters out, when you see him with the 01, the silver, the seals, the lining, and all the effort that Bandai's gone through to show off as much inner frame as possible, this guy, yes, he may look not very practical, but then again, when you think about it in the space context, maybe it definitely is, and this guy, just in terms of looks though, pure win. Mobility now for this semi-transformer here. Front skirts will go up, side skirts not that much movement there, but you can take the leg, and remember that they're actually on a swing mechanism there on the inside, which is impressive. As you can see, the knee looking fantastic as you go for the nice bend down there. The ankles side to side, not so much there, but you can see some nice details as they do go forward and back, and anything that it's exposed, again, is looking proper and mechanical and detailed. Now the back, when you've actually got it attached in properly by flipping up the blue flaps there on the core fighter or the core block, is going to be hopefully working out a little bit better than the regular one. You can see him move there. He's actually going to be able to move off to the side and stay in place, which is incredibly impressive when you consider the fact that there's a whole core fighter there on the inside. These blue parts for the shoulders are going to be moving independently. If you saw the parts video, these are going to come out, these are going to open, and this whole thing here can actually open up as well, so you can see that. Going to be awfully hard though to actually get your fingers in there or a modeler's knife to pull out the boosters, so you'll probably have to take out the whole core block before popping it out. But the arms, let's see if these are actually going to stay in place. Well, you can see the way that it's just going to pop up back there, but it's coming forward fairly well, and the arms are going to rotate as you'd expect. The elbows, as they are identical to the regular one, are still going to look great as they bend down there. The white part here, this flap, is going to be exposing a thruster, and the blue shoulder is going to have this much range of motion. The way this is attached on is pretty clever. It doesn't feel fully committed back there to actually staying on, but hopefully it's going to be a little bit better. And now for the stars of the show. Yes, everybody, eyes back here. You can take this and actually move that up and down. This is actually part of the core block there. That's going to be dropping down. These nozzles are going to be moving around independently, and the beam sabers, you can see here that they're going to have a good range of motion side to side. Incredible, in fact, and you can actually bring that forward under the V-fin. Looking pretty cool there. For these parts, you can see that they would roll more, except they're going to bang into the shoulders and off to the side. You can bring them straight in like this, or you can move them off 90 degrees. So overall, looking good there. Again, how much gray is exposed is just incredible. Now I have to ask you before the height comparison, how could a Gundam that looks this cool be forgotten? Well anyway, this is the predecessor, I suppose, for the Mark II here. Yes, Camille, he is a genius. But nonetheless, when you take a look at the two real grades, this guy I put in a lot more time putting on the decals and everything, whereas the Mark II is going to come across as a little bit plain, but otherwise, still the parts are all as they should be. You can see lots of gray in the legs and on that waist section and on the knees. The red parts there, especially those seals, are going to be popping. The gray or the silver parts there for the arms are going to make them look nice and metallic. Probably though the edge is going to go a little bit to the Mark II though, because he's actually got clear green parts there in plastic, as opposed to just the seals that I've got covering up there for him, but overall, the details that are going to go on to the back, and especially all the attention to detail on the shoulders, even without everything exposed, the FB is definitely looking really sharp, and even sort of years ahead, if you want to put it that way, of the Mark II. And with these two guys coming out simultaneously, you do not have to choose one or the other, or you definitely can if you want to save half the money. But for me, having these two guys together is just fantastic, even though I would probably count this guy, of course, as the lead over the FB if I was using my old system there. But when you see this guy, he's definitely going to have all the characteristics of the original RX-78 too, looking good with the red abs in the right place, the red shoes, all the colors in the right places. But it's very cool that what they did with him, taking the GP01 and PG style, throw him in a hangar, add on a whole bunch of details, and really gave him his own identity. And I'd imagine that the sales, it would be interesting to go check out Amazon.jp or Rakuten and see exactly how much more this one is selling, or am I wrong in that assumption? I'm trying the most difficult pose first here, and my RG GP01 was having no luck keeping the shoulders on, and this guy, though, is doing a little bit better job, although I should say that to put this whole thing on, I just detached the whole top. It does sit on there rather loosely, swapped the arms off and dropped it back in, but by positioning the arms first when they're actually on the shoulders, instead of actually trying to do it when they're on there and they can dislodge all these blue parts there that are stuck up above, or just on the insides of the shoulders there. Hopefully that's going to do away with some of the weight issues, and if you want to go for a big get out of there with a big shield, as this is in its extended form, you can actually see that it's going to be done there. The legs can be positioned well, and the beam rifle is going to be looking good, even when he's not looking down the barrel, especially with the bonus of the beam attached in there. I really think I am going to try to do all of my posing with this completely separate from the body, and hopefully that's going to do away with some of the frustrations. And dumb shield pose aside here, he is going to be working better if you want to go and pose him that way. Just remember that it is going to sit on there very, very loosely. The shield is in its compact mode, but you can have him looking down the barrel there. The legs, of course, could be a little bit better, but then again, when you've got those big blue shoulders sticking out there, and you've got the big Burners back there looking just awesome, no matter what angle you've got them sitting at, and definitely overhanging when you see him from the front, this guy is going to look good pretty much no matter what you do with him. And both Unit 1s are going to have an identical attachment there, which is going to help you get them up aerial if you've got enough smaller action base kicking around. But even with aerial poses, you're probably going to want to take them apart before you actually try to get them into position before reassembling. And for anybody who's a fan of the perfect grade and taking the regular one and transforming it into the FB here, if you want to recreate a launch scene, it's going to work out really nicely, even if you don't try to make it all that exciting. Just the fact that he's got so many boosters there on the back, prominently protruding in every direction, this guy is definitely going to be looking like he's ready for space. But for the shield, whereas before I had the straight arm on, here when you actually try to go attach it, just to get into this simple pose there, as it's just on a 90-degree angle coming around the arm, it already fell down 3 or 4 times. It does feel okay, it just doesn't feel all that particularly strong. And the thing about this is that it's not a particularly taxing pose, so I'm a little bit disappointed with that. But then again, just the overall looks of this guy, he's going to be getting a much easier pass. And now it's time to get a little bit defensive and back off. You're going to need a Ziploc or something to hang on to your little yellow parts once you've got them dislodged. The only thing is, when you actually go to put these on, they're just going to sort of push them back in, so you'll want to get in there with your knife. And even then, it's going to be a little bit tricky. If you're staring at them in the right light straight on, you are going to see them inside there, but it's not quite the same, and definitely something that's a little tricky in terms of the designs here. It really is like fishing, though, to get these out here. But ultimately, with the help of a modeler's knife there, and the fact that you can move around those Burners back there, here you definitely are going to notice them when they're protruding forward. And for these boosters here on the side, if you separate them all, they are, I gotta say, you're really not going to stand out. Whether they were in or out, you're not really going to notice it. But if you try to set him up in such a way that his pose is looking like he's suddenly halting in space, if anybody could be turning on a dime, well, even if there is no ground under him, this looks like the Gundam to do it. No verdict video for this, just straight to the negatives. First of all, when I was putting this together, it's going to be a little bit disappointing that the accessories like the beam saber and the shield, of course it's part of the MS design, but when you're building the same thing twice, this guy's got an upgrade in pretty much every single part of his body outside of the arms, and just the fact that you're building accessories again just comes across as a little bit dull. However, and he is still going to be problematic in terms of trying to pose him. If you try to pose him as is, he's going to have problems just in that when you try to twist the arms or do anything, it's just going to dislodge the whole upper body and cause nothing but problems. The things that you've got there, the little blue parts with the green seals in there, the complex shoulders, everything attached on there, problematic at best, but I've still got to say it's a huge step up on the regular one. Because with this guy, because he's got this all built into the core block, you don't have the same lock mechanism trouble that you do with the regular one. But for the other negatives, well, you just saw them there with the burners. Between the ones on the shoulders that you're hardly going to see, even when they're protruded and spread out, and the ones that you've got in the yellow vents coming forward, it's always going to be problematic when you have little things like this. For my regular GP01, I had yellow parts of the core fighter falling out. These ones didn't so far, and I hope now that I've dislodged them for the review, they're not going to start doing that there in the future. But the fact that you have to get in there with a knife because of the design just actually, even though they've got these incredible slides, they are very weak, which means these are easy to push back in when you're trying to spread them out, and those ones there, again, very easy to recess. But are there positives? Oh my, yes. First of all, whenever you're putting out two simultaneously, whether it's the Mark IIs or the GP01s here, they've got to be differentiated. And this guy, yeah, you got a couple accessories the same, but the body is fantastic. The legs, the shoulders, the upper body, the core fighter, everything about this guy is going to be pretty much new, except for the head and the arms. And this guy, because of that, is just going to be a lot of fun. I really would recommend building this guy first if you do go simultaneous, because he's just definitely going to come across as more old school, more Amuro-ish, as he should be, as the link between the Mark II and the original Granddaddy. But this one here, the FB full Burnern, is just going to be full fun. Love the mobility in the back, love the gray details showing through, love the yellow chest parts, and the way the burners are going to be popping out there, even if it's tricky to get him there. He's going to look fantastic. The O1 there, the weapons, everything about him works. And even though I wasn't even really inspired to get the regular Unit 1 up on a stand, this guy is just asking to be blasting around in space at all sorts of crazy angles, stopping on a dime, whatever you want him to do. You can imagine it's as responsive as an arcade stick for your PS3 Gundam vs. Gundam. Hopefully full burst, yes, Tokyo Game Show. Anyway, everybody, love this kit. I like it way more than the Unit 1, the regular GP01. What about you? If I was only going to buy one, of course, I'd go with the FB, despite my calling the lead the regular one there. Anyway, what are your thoughts about the whole issue? And more importantly, if you're going to buy both, which one do you prefer? Is this one going to be a step up enough? Anyway, would love to hear your thoughts, and stick around for lots more news, reviews, and everything else you can use. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. Age 1, Granddad. Age 2, Zeta. Age 3, Double Zeta. FX, new. And here we've even got the Alex for the Grandsa. They really did forget the GP01 every time, didn't they?